Hello guys, set to achieve. Welcome to another video. And today I'm going to talk about the fact that I was literally burnt out 6 months after I started working as a nurse. Okay, so this is 6 months after I passed my boards. I started working in a skilled care facility in my community, and within, I would say, less than 6 months, I was already burnt out. Okay, so it's really strange because when I put out the video that actually is currently viral, it's only been like 6 days and it's already at like 32,000 views, which is like really like, I don't even know how to say how I feel. And it's kind of like, it's a great feeling, but at the same time, it's like kind of a sad feeling because I didn't know that so many people would be able to see, the way, like the feelings that I had, like really strong feelings. But it's giving me joy at the same time, and kind of like delivering me, like a deliverance type thing, because it's making me understand that like a lot of the feelings that I've had and a lot of the actions that I've taken, like it's kind of, it's almost like a bittersweet type thing. So in one way, I'm very happy, that like I'm able to, go viral and, put out the information out there and, actually and inform others, because, there was a family member of mine that said, but you don't want to discourage people. No, there's something called truth. Okay. And as a child of God, I believe that I have to put out the truth. And I can't put out the truth based on anybody else's feelings or experiences. I'm putting out my experience, okay? And I believe that, it's like, put it out there and let people do whatever they want to do with it, okay? And I honestly do wish that I had this platform, or that there was somebody, actually there was somebody, when I was trying to leave nursing, and I was looking for confirmation. I give God glory because there was a lady that I saw on YouTube, and I saw the fact that she left nursing for to become a lash tech, and she was doing it. I think she was doing it like at her, in her living room or something. She was just talking about like her process, and the fact that she started having like mental, like anxiety and like a lot of mental stress and everything, and like she was not the same. And even her husband was able to see the fact that she was declining rapidly, so when she started like learning, I think she took a class to learn like lashing and everything, and she just like felt like, as she was doing it, she felt the joy in doing it. She felt the like lifted, and then she knew that she had to leave. I think she was working in a hospital at the time. So I was looking for confirmation during the time I actually wanted to leave, and I actually left right before the pandemic. I was seeing the signs, like, the writing on the wall, like you said. And so I decided that, it was time for me to leave. It was time for me to leave. So her video was the confirmation that I needed. So I just wanted to be kind of like a voice for somebody out there, that, and I could see based on my comments, I mean, the fact that this video is getting 567 views per hour, and I was able to see that on vidIQ, and just seeing so many people just commenting on what they've been through. And a lot of it is, the stresses, and the pain, and even some talking about the fact that they've left for several years and they're still going through trauma and PTSD from what they went through. So, I just saying that made me feel better, on putting out the video, because, a lot of times when you put out your truth, everybody doesn't take it the same way, but it doesn't matter, because as long as you're following your spirit, and I put out a video this morning talking about the fact that you are, what is the video? What's the video name called? You are suffering because you refuse to listen to your spirit. So I just feel like, who knows? Maybe it's my calling to be able to bring light into the evil that is in nursing. Now, mind you, there are people that are called, that is their calling to be a nurse, you know, and those people, they're gonna have, not to say that they won't go through the trauma, but they will have a special cushion, because of the fact that it is their calling. Um, they will have a special cushion, you know, to kind of like, you know, bring joy back into whatever it is that they're going through. Okay, so please, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. I want to I want to keep these videos coming. I want to encourage people that are out there. From what I've seen in the comments that I've heard, I see that they are people that really need this. You know, as a child of God, I believe that I'm called, according to Isaiah 61, I think it's like 1-4, that I'm called to set people free from bondage. Okay, and there's a lot of people that are in bondage to the trauma that they're going through, especially in nursing, especially healthcare in general, but especially in nursing. There's a lot of evil, and there's a lot of things that need to be talked about. Okay, so going back to my story, and okay, so first and foremost, I'm gonna say this, that I believe that the trauma, and I would say the abuse, started even as a nursing student. Okay, there's a lot of things that I saw. I mean, we know that, especially if you're in like a more compressive, you know, fast-paced curriculum type thing, you know, it's nursing school. Everybody knows that is stressful, but even then, I would say that God was showing me some red flags, you know, and I was seeing certain things that were going on, you know, that were kind of like, okay, what is really going on? I know of some students that failed out of nursing when we were learning like the beginning parts, like the foundations, like bed making, you know. And so there were just like a lot of things that were kind of like, okay, you know, but I think what kept me going, and I went through a lot, you know, my children being very young, babies, really, you know, even pregnancy, going through nursing school. And yeah, I endured a lot of things, a lot of trauma, and then also going through a narcissistically abusive situation and relationship, marriage. So not just relationship, but marriage. But I would endure because I felt like there was gonna be a light at the end of the tunnel. I felt like once I got my license, you know, once I got, you know, past my NCLEX, got my license and started working, that it was gonna get easier. You know, I literally felt like it was gonna get easier. You know, so I pushed through. Even with pregnancy. I pushed through the sleepless nights, you know, trying to study for like 12 chapters and you know, sometimes for just one test, you know, just going through a lot with babies, right? And I pushed through thinking that for whatever reason, you know, because, and that's the reason why I'm so passionate about putting this out, because there were no channels during that time. And during this time, to kind of like bring it into perspective, was around like 20, let's say, yeah, 2009 to like 2010, because I got my, I passed my NCLEX and got my license in end of 2010, October 2010 to be exact. So, yeah, I saw some red flags and everything, but I just thought like it was just like part of the trauma of, yeah, sorry, somebody sent me an email. Yeah, so I thought it was part of the trauma of being in nursing school, you know. So I was like, well, I'm gonna just suck it up, do what I need to do, and pass. And so, make a long story short, I passed my boards. So when I started I started working. So I started working at a skilled. So the first job or a couple of jobs that I did were at a skilled care facilities. To learn the process, learn how to give injections. Learn. And I started seeing red flags. Like I started like not just like the ones I saw in nursing school, but it was like begin to like glare. Because I started seeing that like the impatience with a lot of the nurses that were more seasoned. They didn't really a lot of them didn't really like care. Like you might find a few, but very few. But I was seeing that it was like almost like you know because you had to like for the first like maybe 2 weeks to a month you're trained, especially like as a new nurse, um, and you're trained on the whole processes for that facility. And every facility is different. So I was seeing like a lot of like red flags, um, like the impatience. And there's a phrase that they say like nurses eat their young, and I heard some people say that like, yeah, that's the way it is, you know, not really wanting to take the time to like train you right, or even when you're asking certain questions, it's like, well, I already showed you that, like like being very irritated, and you're like, I need to know all this stuff, so. And anyway, so like seeing a lot of things. And then there was like this one particular nurse that had been there for a while. She was an LPN, but she would always go on smoke breaks. And she would always say, "Oh, there's got to be a better way. Oh, there's got to be a better way." And she'll go out and smoke, you know. And I was, and I'd mentioned this like in my other video, but I was like saying to myself, like, what is going on, And then I saw that it was not only her, like a lot of the nurses and the CNA, they would take, even the CNAs, which is the nursing assistants, they would take, like they would switch, in terms of like who would go on breaks, smoke breaks. Okay, this is not even like food, So I was seeing like a lot of like the red flags and everything, and then to kind of like to top it off, I started getting anxious, and just like really overwhelmed with like, like a lot of the workload, and then like a lot of the things that I was seeing, like in terms of like the cattiness, people trying to like throw like other people under the bus. It was like almost like it felt like almost like a war zone. So I knew that, that I was called to help people, but obviously because of the pressure from family, a lot of my family members, healthcare, in healthcare, doctor, nurse, whatever, like in healthcare, so I felt that pressure that, okay, well, I know I want to help, but you know what, maybe I wasn't as close to God as I probably should have been, or I am now, because, and being younger, and everything is like, you want to feel like the people that, that raised you, that are around you, family and whatnot, like have your best interest at heart. Like, like, well, you know what? They're older, they know better. But that's not always the case. We have to always go back to God, which I did in the end, when I was like, you know what, to heck with this, even if I have to start from scratch, even if I have to like, mop floors, become a janitor. Like it was at the point I was like, you know what, this is not for me, so, so it was like, I was, and so it was kind of like having to like work in one facility, be there for a few months, quit that facility and say, okay, you know what, maybe it's this facility, maybe let me go to another one, and just like not finding any rest, not finding any peace, and I was like saying to myself, like, where is my rest? I thought like when I was done with nursing school, my rest would come. It didn't. So I tried agency. So I was working in a skilled care facility. I signed up with an agency, look a little bit farther from where I lived, and they would send me to other skilled care facilities. They would send me to other places, and everything. And, I would do that sometimes, like maybe when I was off, or, like, or later on in the day, like if I was free and things like that and everything. But I just realized that I wasn't finding any joy in nursing. I wasn't finding any joy in healthcare, and the sad part about it, it was like, it made me feel like a failure. It just made me feel like, and of course the people around that I had around me didn't help, because, and I don't know, it was almost as if like once you became a nurse, it's like you had achieved like the some kind of golden award or a statue or something, like, and now you have to, you know, it's almost like you have to be in it for the rest of your life. And it's like, how dare you leave. And even a family member like recently told me that people would die to gain the status that you gain, as a registered nurse. And it was just like, no, no. If that's what they want to do, they can go ahead, but that's not me. And yeah, so I was burnt out like within like less than 6 months after I became a nurse. I tried different things, and this went on for years. Because I remember I told you that I became a nurse in 2010, and it was only in 2020. Okay, it was only in 2020. I had so many ups and downs, and just, I mean, the whole hoopla. Okay, everything. And it was only in 2020, or yes, that I realized, because I was working like basically full time, just about full time in a home health facility, and coming home like 9 p.m. After like leaving out in the mornings and just working, doing all kinds of admissions, and it was just like, and even on my off days, you would have to be staying doing meetings. There's a meeting, a Zoom meeting for this, there's Zoom, and I was like, you know what, I had to pray that like God would deliver me from that. Like it was like I had reached a point, like it was like, you know what, I cannot do this anymore. If I wanna maintain any semblance of who I am, if I want any part of me left, I can't do this anymore. It doesn't matter who says what. So that was when I finally quit, and just went full force to doing like hair and doing delivery. And it was just a few years later that I left my narcissistically abusive marriage situation, separated. But yes, it was very hard, very disheartening, and I was made to feel like I was a loser, basically, and it's like, why should people have that kind of power over you, but that's, that was the whole part of the abuse, being made to feel like nursing was the only thing in the world, that if you're not a nurse or if you're not in healthcare, you're nobody, and that's, a pretty rough place to be, but that's where I was, but yeah, I believe that, when you are able to be led by the Spirit of God and listen to the Spirit of God and not ignore the red flags, and I know that there's a lot of women, especially women, ladies that are nurses right now, and don't want to leave, because they don't want to take that step of faith, because they feel like, oh, what about my living situation? How do I pay my bills? But sometimes you have to factor in other issues, because it's like, if you're losing yourself, does it really matter? But anyway, I'm just gonna leave it there. But yeah, you can leave your comments, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Maybe talk about your experience, because I know a lot of people will benefit from it. I definitely gained a lot, even from the last video that I did that went viral. So yeah, this is Set to Achieve. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, share, leave your comments, and until next time, God bless. Peace.